Generally speaking, a what-if analysis is a very useful tool which allows a person to understand how changing one or more input values will affect the outcome of a particular scenario. What-if analyses are very useful for answering questions, identifying goals, and helping people to make decisions. We will be conducting a what-if analysis on behalf of the owner of a dance club. In this particular scenario, the owner has asked us to identify the entrance fee that she should charge in order to maximize her yearly net income. As we can see on this Excel worksheet, the owner has provided us with some information about her dance club. Specifically, we are told that on average, each customer spends $23 on food and drinks. We are also told that the dance club's fixed costs for things such as rent and maintenance amount to $32,000 per week. The average costs that the dance club incurs for each customer are $15.50, and the total effective tax rate that the dance club pays for federal, state, and local taxes is 35% of its earnings. The owner has also noticed that the average number of customers who visit her dance club per night depends on the entrance fee. Specifically, the average number of customers is equal to 500 minus the quantity 20 times the entrance fee in dollars. Thus, if the owner charges no entrance fee, the dance club will get an average of 500 customers per night. If the entrance fee is $10, the dance club will get an average of 300 customers per night. And if the entrance fee is $25 or above, no customers will come to the dance club. Using only this information, we will be able to perform a what-if analysis in Excel that will allow us to identify the entrance fee which will maximize the owner's yearly net income. Before we begin our what-if analysis, let's format the appearance of our worksheet to make it a bit more attractive. First, I will use the today function to automatically fill in the date of the analysis. We could also use the now function if we wanted Excel to provide us with the time in addition to the date. For our purposes, however, the today function should be sufficient. I will also use the number format drop-down box in order to format the date value, and I will right indent the value just to make it appear a little cleaner. Next, let's insert some rows in order to separate all of the parameters into categories. To insert a row, you simply need to right-click on the row above which you would like the new row to appear, and then select Insert from the menu. I will also change the background color of these new rows in order to better visually separate the parameters. Next, let's insert a new column that we can use to label our parameter categories. After right-clicking to insert the new column, I will add a few labels in order to help us identify the various parameter categories on the worksheet. As you can see, we have now divided the parameters into constants, revenue data, cost data, and income data. Now let's write some formulas to calculate the missing values on the worksheet. To begin, we know that the average revenue per customer will be equal to the entrance fee plus the average amount of food and drink spending per customer. I will therefore enter the formula equals C7 plus C2 into cell C8. I will also press the F4 key once to ensure that Excel uses an absolute cell reference for the average amount of food and drink spending per customer. That way, if I copy the revenue per customer cell, Excel will continue to use the correct amount for the average food and drink spending per customer. Next, we know that the total revenue per night will be the product of the number of customers per night and the average revenue per customer. We can therefore write a formula that multiplies cells C8 and C9 together in order to calculate the total revenue per night. Given that there are 7 days in a week, the average number of customers per week will simply be the average number of customers per night multiplied by 7. Similarly, the total revenue per week will be equal to the average daily revenue multiplied by 7. The dance club's weekly variable costs can be easily calculated by multiplying the club's costs per customer by the number of customers per week. Next, we can calculate the dance club's total weekly costs by adding its weekly fixed costs to its weekly variable costs. To determine the dance club's weekly earnings before taxes, all we need to do is subtract the total weekly costs from the total weekly revenues. Calculating the club's weekly taxes is a bit trickier, since taxes will only be paid if the club's earnings are positive. In order to handle this issue, we can use Excel's if function. The if function performs a logical test and returns one value if the test is true and another value if the test is false. In our case, we want to test whether the club's earnings are greater than 0. If the answer is yes, then we can calculate the club's taxes as the product of its earnings and its effective tax rate. If the answer is no, however, then the club taxes will be 0. Now that we've calculated the club's taxes, we can next determine the club's weekly net income by simply subtracting its taxes from its earnings. Finally, given that there are 52 weeks in a year, we can easily calculate the dance club's yearly net income by multiplying its weekly net income by 52. At this point, we can conduct a simple what-if analysis by playing with the value of the entrance fee. For example, when the entrance fee is $0, we can see that the club will lose almost $300,000 per year. As we incrementally increase the entrance fee, we can see that the dance club becomes profitable when the entrance fee reaches $3. But what is the optimal entrance fee? Put another way, what is the entrance fee that will maximize the yearly net income for the dance club? To answer this question, let's use the columns to the right to test the effects of increasing the entrance fee by $1 at a time. In this case, we have enough room to test entrance fees between $3 and $11 without needing to scroll our worksheet. Since we used absolute cell referencing for all of the constants in our formulas, we can now simply copy all of the formulas in column C and paste them into columns D through K. Examining the yearly net income row, we can see that the club's yearly net income increases as the entrance fee increases from $3 to $9, after which the yearly income begins to decline. Based on the results of this what-if analysis, we can now recommend to the club owner that she charge a $9 entrance fee in order to maximize her yearly net income. Further, now that we have all of the calculations in place, we can easily see what would happen if other values besides the entrance fee were to change. For example, if the owner of the dance club were able to find a way of increasing the average food and drink spending per customer from $23 to $26, then our what-if analysis reveals that the dance club would maximize its yearly net income by charging an entrance fee of just $7 instead of $9. As you can see, what-if analyses can be very powerful tools for decision making.